Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video will showcase the fastest cars in the GTA 5 military class, organised by lap time with the top speed and race tier of each vehicle also shown in order to identify any outliers. All 13 military class vehicles have been put through their paces on my testing track and top speed run, and if any are added after the release of GTA 6, look for a singular update video at the top of the playlist link below that contains all classes in the game. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already for future GTA car testing and racing videos. This video is brought to you by you. Thank you so much for simply being here and enjoying my content. Please do leave a comment, like the video, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for a chance to see your name here in a future video. So as we get started with the slowest vehicles in the class, it's important to provide a quick reminder that the intro video to this series, which is linked in the description and pinned comment, likely answers any questions you have about this testing, from simple things like what's needed to maximize performance to more complicated things like full testing methodologies. Give that video a watch if there's anything you don't understand here, since everything there is assumed knowledge for this video. So, we're starting with a couple of tanks, and first of all a remote control tank with the Invade and Persuade, obviously very slow and significantly slower than the actual old Rhino tank with a 2:23 23 lap time. Is not very quick at all for the Rhino, but it is definitely significantly quicker than the Invade and Persuade RC version. And then the fastest of the tanks with the Khanjali, which is basically just a straight upgrade to the Rhino, a little bit better for top speed. And when you're talking about 2 minute, sort of 3 minute lap times, ultimately it's the top speed that determines it. If you see a 2 mph improvement in top speed, you're going to see a few second improvement for lap time, and that's what we saw with the tanks. So coming into the top 10, and in 10th place, probably one of the more disappointing DLC vehicles of all time with the Vetir. A 1:51 is very slow, holds less people and is slower than the Barracks, which we'll see later on. So for a DLC edition, yeah, it wasn't really necessary to be added to the game, I don't think. And then we move on to the half track, and obviously the military class has a lot of big, bulky, slow vehicles like this. A 1:51 for the half track is a little bit quicker than the Vetir, but you can't. This is something that you kind of expect for a vehicle with, you know, tracks. It's a big vehicle that you're not expecting to be very quick. And same goes for the Cherno Bog, which actually does get a better lap time than the half track despite its ridiculous size. But when we're looking at those top speeds, you know, 70 miles per hour, we're definitely in the bottom half of all top speeds in the game, and certainly getting it around the hairpin on my testing track was a bit of a challenge. Then we come on to the Barracks that I mentioned earlier, you know, significantly quicker than the Vetir. With a 1:41, you're going 10 seconds quicker, so what was the point in adding the Vetir if it's going to be that much slower? And at 84 mile per hour top speed, we're gradually getting up there, but it is 4th place for the military class on that metric. And it's certainly a lot slower though than the Thruster, which is definitely number 1 for top speed for military, but obviously you're getting it around the corners, around the track is the difficult bit, and that's why it gets a 1:39 lap time. It's got quite a big discrepancy between that ridiculous top speed, obviously with the abilities that it has, and then the lack of ability in the corners, so quite a big discrepancy between the two. Now the top 5, we've got the Barracks Semi next with a 1:37, so just a little bit ahead of the Thruster, but certainly a much worse top speed, but it is in 5th place on both metrics. And I think the military class probably ends GTA 5 as one of the more underutilized classes. You know, there's so many weaponized vehicles that got put into other classes, mainly off-roads, to be honest. There's a lot of things that probably could have gone in military that ended up in the off-road class, and it would have made it a lot more interesting. We do have 13 vehicles in the class now, which is one of the smallest in the game, but it is a lot better than the 4 vehicles that we had at launch for the military class. So at least it's been significantly expanded with DLCs, but it definitely could have been even more interesting, I think, if we'd been given a lot of the, you know, you could say proper weaponized military vehicles that ended up getting put into off-roads. If they were put here instead, probably would have been a lot more interesting and certainly more fleshed out. But as it is, you know, we had the APC there in 4th place with not too bad of a lap time, mainly because it can corner quite well. The top speed is terrible, but it can get around the corners relatively quick. And the Crusader is in 3rd place. It's still got that, you know, podium spot on both lap time and top speed. This obviously was the previous number one when before DLCs, the Crusader was far and away ahead of everything else because it's basically just a normal sort of non-upgraded SUV. And then we've got the Scarab in second place, only just ahead for lap time of the Crusader, and certainly worse for top speed. But it does, once you sort of dial in with it, it does corner quite well. Even though it's on tracks, it's quite quick, and obviously it's an arena war vehicle, but it does get that nitrous boost. It doesn't really do anything to help it though, because it's kind of already maxed out. But yeah, not too bad from the Scarab, to be fair. But everything kind of pales in comparison to the number one of the Barrage. A full 12 seconds per lap quicker and over 100 mph for its top speed, which, it is second place for the military class, but it is second place to the Thruster, so it's kind of the de facto number one. And yeah, the Barrage is basically just like a normal off-road vehicle with weapons on it. I'm surprised it didn't end up in the off-road class, to be honest, but when a 1 minute 12 lap time for most vehicles in the game actually isn't that quick, but for the military class it's very, very quick. And we're going to see in the comparison the new breed, the new number one. I say new, it was added quite a long time ago, but it's still a DLC vehicle, the Barrage, versus the old number one. The Crusader was the top vehicle in the military, in the full vehicle military class in 2013 when the game came out. So big difference in performance, big jump in lap time. But the Barrage you can also upgrade, the Crusader you can't. It's just completely stock. So like I said, it would have been more interesting, the military class, if a bunch of the vehicles that got stuck into off-road were put here instead, and maybe something that can give the Barrage a bit of a run for its money. Something like the Night Shark, for example, would have been at the top of military if it had been put there instead, but all these sort of weaponized vehicles just got shoved in off-road, so military was kind of just left behind a little bit in GTA 5's lifespan, and it was kind of lucky if it got a DLC vehicle, if you like. So it ends with 13 vehicles, but the Barrage is certainly a worthy number one for this class, and a 1 minute 12 lap time isn't that quick over the course of all vehicles in the game, but it's also not too bad. It's respectable at least, and certainly a hell of a lot quicker than honestly everything else in the class. So yeah, we'll see the comparison as well, the top speed comparison, and it's substantial. 20, almost a 20 mph speed difference is pretty substantial at this point. And yeah, old to new, but like I say, I think military could have just been a lot more interesting if they'd put more vehicles in there. And it's not as if they didn't have the vehicles to put in, because they just got put in off-roads instead. So that's everything for this one. Please consider supporting on Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want to support this work and get some extra perks for doing so, such as early access to videos and other testing results. Also remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed or found it helpful, and subscribe for more. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.